The space station Concordia floated in the darkness between three star systems. It was a place where different species came to talk, to trade, and sometimes to avoid war. Today, humans were meeting the Cathari for the first time in a formal setting. Kang Jiho stood near the back of the diplomatic hall, watching the alien delegation enter. He was not a diplomat. He was a combat engineer, trained to fix machines and fight when needed. But Captain Park Soo-jin had ordered all senior crew to attend the welcome dinner. So here he was, wearing his dress uniform and trying not to look bored. The Cathari were tall and frightening. They had 4 arms, skin the color of dark purple stone, and eyes that glowed faintly yellow. Their bodies were built for war. Every movement they made looked like a threat. "They look friendly," whispered Do-hyun, Jiho's best friend, standing beside him. "Very friendly," Jiho replied quietly. "Like tigers at a birthday party." The Cathari High Warlord walked at the front of his group. Behind him came his daughter, Valera. She was smaller than the males, but carried herself like a blade waiting to cut. Her armor was black and red, decorated with symbols that probably meant she had killed many enemies. Her face showed no emotion at all. Jiho watched her scan the room. Her yellow eyes moved over the humans like they were insects. Not worth her time, not worth her attention. The dinner began. Speeches were made. Food was served. Jiho stayed in his corner, eating strange alien fruit and counting the minutes until he could leave. Then the accident happened. An elderly human diplomat, Ambassador Yoon, stumbled while walking between tables. Jiho moved without thinking. He stepped forward to catch the old man's arm and steady him. It was a simple act of kindness. It took less than 2 seconds. But in those 2 seconds, Jiho stepped directly into the path of Valera. She stopped, her 4 hands curled into fists. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "You block my path," she said. Her voice was cold and sharp. Jiho helped Ambassador Yoon to his seat, then turned to face her. "I apologize. I was helping someone who almost fell." "You apologize?" Valera's eyes narrowed. "You stand in the way of a Cathari warrior and think words will fix this?" The room went silent. Every alien and human stopped talking. Captain Soo-jin began moving toward them, her face tight with worry. "In my culture, helping an elder is important," Jiho said calmly. "I meant no disrespect to you." "Your culture is weak," Valera replied. "In my culture, blocking a warrior's path is an insult that demands blood." She raised one of her hands and pointed at Jiho's chest. "I challenge you to combat. Deathmatch. Tomorrow at sunrise." Gasps filled the room. The Cathari warriors behind Valera made sounds of approval. The humans looked horrified. Captain Soo-jin stepped between them. "Surely this can be resolved another way. This was clearly an accident." The High Warlord spoke for the first time. His voice was deep like thunder. "My daughter has issued a formal challenge under Cathari law. If your human refuses, your entire species admits weakness. The Galactic Council will record that humans are cowards who hide behind words." Soo-jin's jaw tightened. Jiho could see her calculating the political damage. If he refused, humanity would lose respect with dozens of alien species. Trade deals would fail. Alliances would crumble. Years of diplomatic work would be destroyed. "I accept," Jiho said. Everyone looked at him. "Jiho, no," Soo-jin said quickly. "We can find another way." "There is no other way, Captain." Jiho met Valera's glowing eyes. "I accept your challenge. Tomorrow at sunrise." Valera studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just found easy prey. "Brave," she said. "Stupid, but brave. I will make your death quick, human. You have earned that much." She turned and walked away. Her warriors followed. The dinner was over. Later that night, Captain Sujin came to Jiho's quarters. Her face was pale. "I have studied Kethari combat records," she said. "Valera has fought 47 death matches. She has won all of them. Most ended in less than 3 minutes." Jiho nodded slowly. "I understand. Do you? She is faster than you, stronger than you. She has 4 arms and decades of training. This is not a fair fight." "Was it fair when she insulted our entire species?" Jiho asked. "Was it fair when she called us weak?" "Someone has to show them that humans are not easy to kill." Sujin was quiet for a moment. "You could die tomorrow." "I could," Jiho agreed. "But I could also win. Humans have surprised the galaxy before." After the captain left, Jiho sat alone in his room. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the planet where his grandmother had taught him to fight. She was a small woman, but she had hands like iron and a spirit that never broke. "A fight is not about size," she used to say. "It is about heart. It is about refusing to fall when everything tells you to fall." Jiho thought about Valera. He remembered her eyes so full of certainty. She believed she would win. She believed humans were weak. She had never been proven wrong. Maybe it was time for her first lesson. He did not hate her. That was the strange thing. He understood her. She was a product of her culture, just as he was a product of his. She had been taught that strength was everything, that mercy was weakness, that killing was glory. She had never met a human before. Not really. She had only met the idea of humans, the weak and soft creatures her people laughed about. Tomorrow, she would meet the real thing. Jiho closed his eyes and began to breathe slowly, the way his grandmother had taught him. He cleared his mind of fear. He cleared his mind of doubt. He focused only on the fight to come. He did not know if he would live or die, but he knew one thing for certain. He would not make it easy for her. The stars continued to shine outside his window, cold and distant, as the night moved slowly towards sunrise. 3 days passed after the incident in the study area. Yuna went to her classes, did her homework, and ate her meals alone. She passed her biology exam with the highest score in the class. Life continued as normal. But Torvak had not forgotten. He watched her from across hallways. He whispered about her to his friends. He planned and waited for the perfect moment. The human girl had embarrassed him by not showing fear. She had made him look weak in front of others. This could not be allowed to stand. On the 4th day, that perfect moment came. Interspecies biology was held in a large classroom on the 17th level of the station. The room was shaped like a half-circle, with rows of seats rising up from a central teaching area. Students of many different species sat together, their bodies and faces all different, but all there to learn the same things. Professor Liss floated at the front of the room. She was a delphine, a species that looked like a glowing jellyfish with dozens of thin tentacles. She moved through the air slowly and spoke in a voice like wind chimes. She was kind and gentle, and she believed that all species could live together in peace. Today's lesson was about cellular regeneration. Professor Liss showed images of how different species healed from injuries. Some could regrow entire limbs. Some could heal wounds in seconds. Some, like humans, healed slowly but could survive injuries that would kill most other beings. Yuna sat in the 3rd row, taking notes on her tablet. She found the lesson interesting. She always found it interesting to learn how different life had become across the galaxy. She did not notice Torvak sit down in the seat directly behind her. At first, nothing happened. The lesson continued. Professor Liss explained how the Keldrith could heal broken bones in just a few days because of their dense muscle structure. She showed images of human immune systems and how they could adapt to fight diseases from any world. Then the whisper started. "Stupid animal." Torvak's voice came from behind Yuna, so quiet that only she could hear. "You think you are so smart. You think you are special. Yuna did not respond. She continued taking notes. On my world, we use creatures like you for labor. We put chains on them and make them work until they die. Yuna wrote down information about regeneration rates. Something small hit the back of her head, a piece of torn paper. Then another. Torvak was flicking things at her, trying to get a reaction. Yuna did not give him one. The minutes passed. Professor Liss continued her lecture. Other students glanced back occasionally, seeing what Torvak was doing, but nobody said anything. Nobody wanted to get involved. Nobody wanted to be next. Torvak grew more and more frustrated. His whispers became angrier. His insults became worse. He called her species primitive. He called her world worthless. He said that humans were a mistake of nature and should have been left to die in the darkness of their own solar system. Still, Yuna did not react. Finally, Torvak could not take it anymore. His pride was burning. His anger was boiling over. This tiny, weak, pathetic creature was ignoring him. She was treating him like he was nothing. He was Torvak. He was the strongest student in the academy. He would not be disrespected by an animal. Professor Liss turned to write something on the display board. In that moment, Torvak reached forward with his upper right arm. His hand was large and covered in hard scales. He swung it with force, aiming for the back of Yuna's head. It was not a playful hit. It was a strike meant to hurt. It was a strike meant to show dominance. His hand connected with a loud crack. The classroom fell silent. Every student turned to look. Professor Liss spun around, her tentacles spreading in alarm. Time itself seemed to slow down as everyone waited to see what would happen next. Yuna's head had moved forward from the impact. Her tablet had fallen from her hands. For a moment, she was completely still. Then, she moved. It was not fast. It was something beyond fast. It was like watching water flow or lightning strike. It was movement so natural and so perfect that it did not seem real. She turned in her seat. Her eyes found Torvak's face. There was no fear in them. There was no pain. There was only something cold and ancient, something that had been born in the darkness of caves and the heat of burning plains. It was the look of a predator recognizing prey. Torvak felt fear for the first time in his life. Yuna was out of her seat before he could react. Her left hand caught his wrist. Her grip was like metal, tight and unbreakable. She twisted his arm, and there was a wet popping sound as his shoulder left its socket. Torvak screamed. But Yuna was not done. Her right elbow drove into his throat. Not hard enough to kill, but hard enough to stop any sound from coming out. His scream turned into a choked gasp. Her foot swept his legs out from under him. All four of his arms waved uselessly as he fell. His body hit the floor with a heavy thud that shook the nearby desks. Then she was on top of him, her knee pressed into his chest. Her hand was on his throat. Her face was centimeters from his. The entire sequence had taken less than 2 seconds. The classroom was completely silent. Some students had stopped breathing. One small furry creature had fainted and fallen out of its seat. Professor Liss floated in place, her glow flickering with shock. Torvak stared up at Yuna with wide, terrified eyes. He tried to speak, but only a weak, gurgling sound came out. He tried to move his 4 arms, but 3 of them could not reach her, and one was hanging useless at his side. He tried to use his greater weight to push her off, but she did not move even a little. She was small. She was supposed to be weak. She was supposed to be fragile. But she held him down like he was nothing. Yuna leaned closer. When she spoke, her voice was calm and quiet. It was the voice of someone who was not angry. It was the voice of someone who was simply stating a fact. "On my world," she said, We call that a mistake. She held him there for 3 more seconds. 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours. 3 seconds in which Torvak understood that everything he believed about humans was wrong. Then Yuna stood up. She stepped back from Torvak's body. She straightened her uniform. She picked up her tablet from the floor. And she sat back down in her seat. The classroom remained frozen. Nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew what to say. They had just watched a small human girl destroy the strongest student in the academy in the time it took to take a breath. Professor Liss finally found her voice. "Security!" she called out, her wind chime voice trembling. "We need security in classroom 17, immediately." Torvak lay on the floor, gasping for air, cradling his dislocated arm, staring at the ceiling with eyes that had seen something impossible. Yuna opened her tablet and looked at her notes. Her hands were steady. Her breathing was normal. Her heart beat calmly in her chest. She had an exam next week. She needed to study. Around her, the galaxy had just changed forever. The security officers arrived in less than a minute. They were Korath, a species that looked like walking mountains made of gray stone. They were the largest beings on the station, and they were used to breaking up fights between students. They were not prepared for what they found. Torvak was still on the floor. His friends had finally rushed to help him, but they could not get him to stand. His arm hung at a wrong angle. His throat was already turning purple with bruises. His eyes were wide and empty, like someone who had just woken up from a nightmare. Yuna sat at her desk, reading her notes. She looked up when the security officers entered, and nodded politely at them. "Both of you come with us," the lead officer said in his deep, rumbling voice. "The dean wants to see you." Yuna stood up and collected her things. Behind her, 2 security officers had to carry Torvak because his legs would not work properly. The other students watched them leave. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The image of what had just happened was burned into their minds forever. The dean's office was on the top level of the station. It had large windows that looked out at the stars. The room was filled with artifacts from 100 different worlds, gifts from grateful species and powerful governments. Dean Vorith sat behind a massive desk made of dark wood from a forest that no longer existed. He was a pentarch, a species with 6 legs, a long body like a centipede, and a face full of small eyes that could see in every direction at once. He had been running this academy for over 200 years. He had seen everything. Or so he had thought. Yuna and Torvak were brought into the office. Torvak was placed in a special medical chair that began treating his injuries. Yuna was given a normal seat. She sat down and folded her hands in her lap. Dean Volrith studied them both with his many eyes. His face showed no emotion. His voice was cold and official. "I have reviewed the security footage," he said. "I have read the witness statements. I know what happened in that classroom." Torvak tried to speak, but his throat was too damaged. Only a whisper came out. "She attacked me." "You struck her first," Dean Volrith said sharply. "The footage is very clear. You hit her from behind while the professor's back was turned. She responded to your assault." Torvak's eyes filled with disbelief. "But, look at me. Look what she did." "You started a fight," the dean said. "You lost that fight. These are the consequences of your actions." He turned his attention to Yuna. His many eyes focused on her with intense curiosity. "However," he continued, "I am concerned about the nature of your response. You disabled a Keldrith, a species known for their physical power, in less than 2 seconds. You did so with what appears to be ease." Yuna met his gaze calmly. "He struck me. On Earth, when someone strikes you, you have the right to defend yourself." "Defend yourself, yes. But what you did was not simple defense. It was," he paused, searching for the right word, "efficient." Too efficient. For a species that we have classified as physically unremarkable. Yuna said nothing. Dean Vorith turned to his desk and touched a control panel. A holographic display appeared in the air above them. It showed a blue and green planet, covered in clouds. "This is Earth," the Dean said, "your homeworld. When humanity first made contact with the Galactic Union, we did what we always do with new species. We studied your planet. We classified it." Text appeared next to the image of Earth. "Most civilized species come from worlds classified between 1 and 5 on our danger scale. A Class 1 world is perfect for life. Mild temperatures, stable weather, no dangerous predators. The Delphine, like Professor Liss, come from a Class 1 world." He paused. "A Class 5 world has some challenges, seasonal changes, some predatory animals, minor natural disasters. Most species in this academy come from Class 3 or 4 worlds." Another touch. The text changed. Red warning symbols appeared. Class 6 through 10 are considered dangerous. These are worlds where survival is difficult. Extreme temperatures, hostile wildlife, regular natural disasters. Very few intelligent species have evolved on such worlds. Dean Vorith looked directly at Yuna. "Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world." The room was silent. Torvak stared at the display with his mouth open. Even the security officers shifted uncomfortably. "Class 12, the Dean repeated. "Do you understand what that means? It means your world is considered one of the most hostile environments capable of supporting complex life. It means that by all reasonable calculations, your species should not exist." He began reading from the file. "Extreme temperature variations ranging from -90 to +50 degrees. Active tectonic plates causing regular earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. 71% of the surface covered in salt water, which is toxic to most known species. An atmosphere containing 21% oxygen, a highly reactive gas that can cause fire and cellular damage. Regular storms capable of destroying entire settlements. A planetary magnetic field that is slowly weakening. A moon that causes massive water movements twice every day." He looked up from the file. "Your planet contains predators in every environment. Your oceans contain creatures that can swallow boats whole. Your land contains animals with claws and teeth designed for killing. Your smallest creatures carry diseases that have killed millions of your own kind." Dean Vorith set down the file. "And yet humans did not just survive on this world. You thrived. You spread to every part of your planet. You hunted the predators. You conquered the land and the sea and the air. You built cities and civilizations and technologies. You did not adapt to your world. You forced your world to adapt to you." He leaned forward. "The file also says something interesting about human hunting methods. It says that humans are persistence predators. It says that your ancestors would chase prey not by being faster, but by being unstoppable. You would follow an animal for hours, for days, never letting it rest, never letting it escape, until it simply collapsed from exhaustion. And then, you would kill it." Yuna nodded slowly. "That is correct. You are not built for speed," the Dean continued. "You are not built for strength. You are built to endure. To keep going when everything else has stopped. To survive what should kill you, and then get back up and keep moving." He sat back in his chair. "I understand now why you reacted the way you did. I understand why Torvak never had a chance. He saw a small, soft creature and thought he saw weakness. He did not understand that your softness hides something else. Something that has been forged by millions of years of survival on a world that tried every day to kill you." Dean Vorith looked at Yuna with something new in his eyes. It was not fear exactly. It was respect. "You are not soft at all, are you?" he asked quietly. Yuna met his gaze. Her voice was calm and steady. "We survived our world," she said. "We did not inherit it gently. The dean was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Torvak will be disciplined for starting this conflict. His attack on you was unprovoked and against Academy rules. You will not face punishment for defending yourself. He raised one of his many legs in warning. However, I must ask you to be careful. The other species here do not understand what humans are capable of. They are not prepared for it. I would prefer to avoid any more incidents like this one. Yuna stood and bowed slightly. I understand, Dean Vorith. I do not seek conflict. I only wish to complete my education. I believe you, he said. You may go. Before she left, she turned back one more time. Dean Vorith, she said, may I ask a question? You may, he replied. If Earth is so dangerous, why did the Galactic Union accept humanity into its membership? The Dean smiled, showing rows of small teeth. Because, he said, it is better to have Deathworld survivors as friends than as enemies. We learned that lesson long ago. Yuna nodded once, then left the office. Behind her, Torvak sat in his medical chair, staring at the holographic image of Earth still floating in the air. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful, so beautiful. He had never known that beauty could hide such terror. He had never known that something so small could be so dangerous. He would never forget the lesson he had learned today. News travels fast on a space station. There are no secrets when everyone lives and works in the same metal halls. By the time Yuna returned to her dormitory, the entire academy knew what had happened. The footage had been copied from the classroom security system. It spread through student networks like fire through dry grass. Within hours, almost every student on Helix 9 had seen it. They watched it over and over. They slowed it down. They zoomed in. They could not believe what their eyes were showing them. Torvak, the strongest Keldrith in the academy, defeated in less than 2 seconds by a human girl who weighed half as much as he did. Students gathered in common areas to discuss it. They sent messages to their families on distant worlds. They argued about what it meant and how it was possible. Some refused to believe it was real. It had to be faked somehow. It had to be some kind of trick. Humans were weak. They had soft skin and small bodies and no claws or scales or armor. They could not possibly do what this girl had done. But the footage was real. The witnesses were real. Torvak's injuries were very real. And slowly, the truth began to sink in. The other 2 human students at the academy were a boy named Minho Beck and a girl named Hana Cho. Minho was 18 years old, tall for a human, with a serious face and calm eyes. He studied xenobiology and dreamed of discovering new forms of life on unexplored worlds. Hana was 16, small and nervous, always trying too hard to fit in and make friends with the alien students. They were waiting for Yuna when she arrived at the human dormitory. It was a small section of the station with only 3 rooms, designed for the gravity and atmosphere that humans needed. It felt lonely sometimes, but it was the closest thing to home they had. Minho stood by the window, his arms crossed. Hana sat on a couch, her knees pulled up to her chest. I saw the footage, Minho said as Yuna entered. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it. Concern, maybe. Or respect. Yuna nodded. I expected you would. The whole station has seen it by now. You are famous. That was not my intention. Minho almost smiled. No, I do not think it was. But it happened anyway. He paused. You could have just reported him. Filed a complaint with the administration. Yuna set down her bag and sat in a chair across from Hana. He struck me. Reporting him would have taken days. The administration would have given him a warning. He would have learned nothing. And now? Now he has learned something. Hana looked up. Her eyes were wide and worried. The other students are scared of us now, she said quietly. I walked through the main hall, and everyone stopped talking. They moved out of my way. They looked at me like I was... She struggled to find the word. Like I was dangerous. Yuna considered this. Are you dangerous, Hana? What? No. I mean, I do not think so. You are human, Yuna said simply. You come from the same world I do. Your ancestors survived the same things mine did. You carry the same instincts in your blood. Hana shook her head. I am not like you. I could never do what you did. You could. You just haven't needed to yet. Yuna's voice softened slightly. I hope you never need to, but if the moment comes, you will find that you are capable of more than you know. Minho pushed away from the window and sat down. The thing is, Yuna is right about how they see us now, but I am not sure that is a bad thing. Hana stared at him. How is it not bad? They are afraid of us. They were looking down on us before, Minho said. They called us animals. They mocked our planet. They thought we were less than them simply because we were new to space travel. He gestured toward the window, toward the station beyond. Now they know the truth. Now they understand that we are not weak. We are simply different. But I do not want them to be afraid, Hana insisted. I want them to like us. Some will never like us, Yuna said. That is true of any species. But fear and respect often look the same from a distance. And respect is earned, not given. The three humans sat in silence for a while. Outside their window, stars drifted slowly past. Somewhere out there, beyond all those points of light, was Earth, their home, the Deathworld that had made them what they were. Over the next few days, Yuna noticed the changes everywhere she went. In the hallways, aliens stepped aside when she approached. They did not run away or show obvious fear. They were too proud for that. They watched her from the corners of their eyes. In class, no one sat directly behind her anymore. The seats nearby were always empty. In the dining hall, conversations stopped when she entered. They started again after a moment, but quieter, more careful. Professor Kell, the old Vorin who had read Earth's file before anyone else, approached her one evening in the library. He moved slowly on his many legs, his large eyes blinking in the soft light. May I sit with you? He asked politely. Yuna nodded. Of course, Professor. He settled into a chair designed for his body type, his legs folding beneath him. For a moment, he simply looked at her. I read the file on your homeworld, he said finally. I read it before the incident. I knew what you were capable of, or at least I suspected. But you did not warn Torvak. The old professor made a sound that might have been a laugh. Would he have listened? Young Keldrith are very proud. They believe they are the strongest beings in the galaxy. They needed to learn that strength comes in many forms. That is a hard lesson. The best lessons usually are. Professor Kell was quiet for a moment. I have been teaching at this academy for 60 years. I have seen thousands of students from hundreds of species. I have seen bullies and victims, heroes and cowards. I always wondered why humans smile so easily. Your species smiles more than any other I have observed. You smile when you are happy, yes, but also when you are sad, when you are nervous, when you are in pain. It seems strange to me. And now you understand? I think so, yes. Professor Kell's many eyes focused on her with something like wonder. You smile because you have already survived the worst. You come from a world that tried to kill your ancestors every single day for millions of years. You faced predators and disasters and diseases that should have wiped you out. But you survived. You always survived. He spread his thin arms. So now, everything else seems easy. A new planet? Just another challenge. A hostile species? Just another predator. The cold emptiness of space? No worse than the ice ages you endured. Yuna smiled then, proving his point. You are correct, Professor. We have been through harder things than most species can imagine. That is why we do not break easily. That is why we keep going when others stop. Professor Kell nodded slowly. Your people frighten me, young one. I will not pretend otherwise, but I think the galaxy will be better for knowing you. You bring something that many species have lost. You bring determination. You bring hope. He stood up, his many legs unfolding. I look forward to seeing what humanity becomes, he said. I suspect it will be remarkable. He walked away, leaving Yuna alone with her books and her thoughts. She looked out the library window at the stars. Somewhere out there, humans were building new ships, exploring new worlds, pushing further into the unknown. They did not know how to stop. They did not know how to give up. That was the gift of the Deathworld. That was what it meant to be human. Yuna returned to her studying. She had an exam next week. Life continued. The galaxy kept spinning. But something had changed. Something important. The other species were watching now. They were paying attention. And for the first time, they were beginning to understand what they were really dealing with. 1 month passed. The academy returned to something like normal. But normal had a different meaning now. The routines were the same. Classes met at the same times. Students studied and complained and dreamed about their futures. Life went on. But underneath the surface, everything had changed. Yuna walked through the hallways just as she always had. She attended her classes. She did her homework. She ate her meals. She was the same quiet, calm girl she had always been. But now, when she entered a room, conversations paused. Aliens stepped aside to let her pass. No one blocked her path. No one made jokes about her planet or her species. No one called her an animal. They did not run away or hide. They were not that obvious about their feelings. But there was a new awareness in their eyes when they looked at her. They saw her differently now. Some saw her with fear. Some saw her with respect. Most saw her with both. Yuna did not let it change her. She remained polite to everyone she met. She helped classmates who struggled with their work. She thanked the dining hall workers and greeted her professors. She never acted proud or superior. This confused many of the alien students. They expected a warrior to act like a warrior. They expected someone who had shown such power to show it again, to remind everyone of what she could do. That was how things worked on most worlds. But Yuna understood something they did not. True strength did not need to prove itself over and over. True strength could afford to be gentle. Torvak had changed too, though in different ways. His arm had healed. Modern medicine could fix almost anything. But his pride had not healed so easily. He no longer walked through the halls with his friends behind him. They had abandoned him in the days after the incident. Among the Keldrith, to be defeated so completely by a smaller opponent was a great shame. To lose to a human was almost unthinkable. Now Torvak walked alone. He attended his classes in silence. He sat in the back of rooms and did not speak unless asked. The bully who had terrorized the academy for 2 years had become a ghost. Most students forgot about him quickly. They had new things to talk about, new dramas to follow. Torvak became a cautionary tale, a story parents would tell their children about the dangers of underestimating others. But Yuna watched him sometimes. She saw the confusion in his eyes. She saw him struggling to understand what had happened to him. One evening, she found him alone in the library. He was sitting at a table in the far corner, reading something on his tablet. When he saw her approach, his body tensed. Fear flickered across his face before he could hide it. "I will leave," he said quickly, starting to stand. "Stay," Yuna said. "I want to ask you something." Torvak froze. He looked at her with the eyes of someone who expected to be hurt. It was strange to see that expression on a Keldrith face. "What do you want?" he asked carefully. Yuna sat down across from him. She was small. He was large. A month ago, anyone watching would have thought he was the dangerous one. "I want to know something," she said. "Before the incident, you called humans weak. You called our planet worthless. Did you really believe that? Torvak was quiet for a long moment. His 4 hands lay flat on the table. His yellow eyes studied her face, looking for traps or tricks. Yes, he finally said, I believed it. Everyone believes it. Humans are small and soft. Your technology was primitive until recently. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. By every measure we use, you should be one of the weakest species in the galaxy. And now? Torvak's jaw tightened. Now I do not know what to believe. Let me tell you something about Earth, Yuna said. She kept her voice calm and soft, the way she might speak to a frightened animal. Our world is not kind. It does not forgive mistakes. Every generation of my ancestors faced death, from predators, from weather, from disease, from each other. She leaned forward slightly. We did not become strong by being born strong. We became strong by refusing to die. Every time our world tried to kill us, we found a way to survive. We adapted. We learned. We kept going. But how? Torvak asked. There was genuine confusion in his voice, maybe even desperation. His entire understanding of the universe had been broken, and he did not know how to fix it. How did your species survive? You have no scales, no claws, no extra arms. How is it possible? Yuna considered her answer carefully. We have something else, she said. We have endurance. Other species are faster than us, but we can chase them until they collapse. We have creativity. When we face a problem, we find solutions that no one else thinks of. We have cooperation. When one of us is in danger, others will risk their lives to help. She paused. And we have will. The will to keep fighting when we should have lost. The will to stand up every time we fall down. The will to look at impossible challenges and say, we will find a way. Torvak stared at her. His eyes were wide. His breathing was slow. I never stood a chance against you, he said quietly. Did I? No, Yuna admitted. But it was not because you are weak. It is because you did not understand what you were facing. She stood up from the table. Remember this moment, she said. And the next time you think about hurting someone smaller than you, remember that size and strength are not the same thing. She walked away, leaving Torvak alone with his thoughts. The observation deck was on the top level of the station. It had windows that stretched from floor to ceiling, showing the endless darkness of space and the millions of stars that filled it. Yuna sat on a bench near the window, looking out at the universe. She came here often when she needed to think. The silence and the vastness helped her feel calm. She heard footsteps behind her, and smiled slightly without turning around. You can come sit with me, she said. Minho and Hana walked up beside her. Minho sat on her right, Hana on her left. For a while, none of them spoke. They just looked at the stars together. You talked to Torvak, Minho finally said. How do you know? Someone saw you in the library. Word spreads quickly here. I did. He needed to understand some things. Do you think he understood? Maybe. Maybe not now, but someday. Yuna shrugged slightly. People change slowly. Even bullies can learn, if they want to. Hana leaned against Yuna's shoulder. It was a gesture of trust, of comfort. The 3 humans sitting together in the vastness of space. Things are different now, Hana said. I can feel it. The way people look at us, the way they treat us. Is it better? Yuna asked. Hana thought about it. I think so. Before they ignored us or mocked us. Now they notice us. They respect us. Some of them are still scared, but... She paused. I think I would rather be respected and feared than ignored and mocked. It will take time for them to fully understand us, Minho said. Generations, maybe, but this is a start. Every long journey begins with a single step. They sat in comfortable silence for a while longer. Stars drifted slowly past the windows. Somewhere out there, beyond all that darkness, was Earth, their home, the Deathworld that had forged them. I miss it sometimes, Hana admitted quietly. Earth, I mean, even with all its dangers. Those dangers made us who we are, Yuna said. Every earthquake and storm and predator, every disease and disaster, they made us strong. They made us survivors. She looked at her friends, her fellow humans, the only two people on this entire station who truly understood her. The galaxy is old, she continued. The other species have been traveling between stars for thousands of years. They have ancient civilizations and advanced technology, and they think they know everything. A small smile crossed her face. But they do not know us. Not really, not yet. They see that we are small, and they think we are weak. They see that we are new to space, and they think we are primitive. They see that we smile easily, and they think we are soft. She stood up and walked closer to the window. The stars reflected in her dark eyes like a million tiny fires. They will learn, she said, slowly, one lesson at a time. They will learn that humans are not just another species. We are not just another civilization. We are something new, something different, something they have never seen before. Minho and Hana stood up and joined her at the window. We are the children of a death world, Minho said. We are the survivors, Hana added, her voice stronger than before. Yuna nodded. We are human, she said, and we are just getting started. The three of them stood together, looking out at the stars. Behind them, the academy hummed with life, with hundreds of species going about their daily routines. Most of them did not understand what humans were capable of. But they were learning. One day at a time, one lesson at a time, they were learning. And somewhere out there, in the darkness between stars, humanity was growing, building, expanding, reaching for worlds that no one had ever seen. They did not know how to stop. They did not know how to give up. That was the curse of the death world. That was the gift of being human. And it was only the beginning.